Hi, in this video we'll do an example and I'll show you how to use GeoGebra to approximate Newton's method. The example I'm going to use is to find the x-coordinate of the point where y equals x cubed minus x crosses the horizontal line y equals 1. So in other words, when does x cubed minus x equal 1? Now this is analogous to finding when it crosses the x-axis or the zeros. Okay, so you'll get some problems like that as well, because I'm going to rearrange this formula and set it equal to 0. I can do that by just subtracting 1 each side. So I get 0 equals x cubed minus x minus 1. Okay, and now I'm going to use Newton's method. And for Newton's method, you basically are going to do it numerically. And typically when we think of solving something numerically, we make a table of values. In this case, we're going to have n. N denotes our step sizes, or our steps, x sub n. We're going to take our function and evaluate it at x sub n. We're going to take the derivative of our function and evaluate it at x sub n. And then Newton's method says that I can approximate the next x sub n plus 1 using the formula x sub n minus f of x over f prime of x. Okay, and now this x sub n comes from this value here. This f of x comes from this value here, and this f prime of x comes from this value here. So basically I need to know what my function is, which here it is, and then I need to know my derivative of my function. This is f of x. And now my derivative in this case is going to be 3x squared minus 1. And now going to a spreadsheet, I can fill in these values. I'm going to increment this 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so let's go into GeoGebra and see how to. Okay, when I come into GeoGebra, there usually is a window here, and you can click right there on Spreadsheet. But if that doesn't come up, what you're going to want to click is go to Options, View, and then select Spreadsheet, and it'll come up with a spreadsheet. Okay, maybe I won't make that the whole thing, but I do want to make it bigger so you can see it. Notice that you can just move your panes around, so I'm just going to make my spreadsheet the majority of the view. And then I'm going to just make my font size bigger so you guys can see what I'm doing here. Okay, so my first column, let's just label them n, x sub n, f of x sub n. In other words, I'm going to take my function and evaluate it at the x value from the previous. F prime of x sub n, so evaluate the derivative at that function, at that value. And then my last value is x sub n plus 1. And I gave you the formula for that. That's going to be x sub n minus the ratio of f of x sub n to f prime sub n. Alright, so we know this one, 0, 1, whoops. We know this is going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the problem gave me, even though I might not have written it down there, the problem gave me that x sub 0 is 1. Okay, there. Alright, so now I need to find f of x sub n. Well, in this case, x sub n is 1. So I'm just going to type in my formula. Remember, f is just my function. So it is going to be, if you recall, our original function is x cubed minus x minus 1. So I'm going to take this value cubed minus this value minus 1. In other words, I'm plugging 1, because I know this starts at 1, I'm plugging 1 into here. And instead of typing out x cubed minus x minus 1, I'm typing out 1 cubed minus 1 minus 1. Okay, and now it looks a little different because instead of typing that out, went away, I'm going ahead and plugging in my x value. So it's cubed minus x sub n minus 1, and I hit enter. So it gives me a value of -1. Here I'm going to take my value and evaluate it at the derivative. So that's going to be 3 times. Recall that our derivative was 3x squared minus 1. So 3 times x sub n minus 1. Okay, and it gives me a value of 2. And last, approximate this one. Recall that it was x sub n. So I'm going to click on that cell. Minus f of x. Well, I'm going to open parentheses so it knows to divide them first. Divided by f prime of x. And then it gives me that value. Okay. Now, I should say that now this next value, x sub n plus 1, well, this is x sub n, so x sub n sub 1 is going to go here. On all of these cells, in order to get it to do a calculation, you need to type in equal sign first. So it's going to equal that. So plug in. And now you're thinking, well, this is going to take forever. But if we just highlight those cells, notice that we get a blue box down in the bottom right corner. And now we can just drag those cells down. They're not going to fill in perfect right away. We're going to need to go here and drag that down as well. And that's going to tell it at the end of each line to take the value from before. And now I must have a formula wrong because it's not filling it in correctly. Let's see. I think I did that last time. This has to be squared. Sorry. Okay, and now when I fill in the correct value, it will all fill in. Now, in our book, we go out to more decimal places. To fix that, you just highlight your cells, options, rounding, and you can go out to 10 decimal places. You're like, well, I can't see those, so you can make your cells bigger just by clicking on them. Okay. All right. I hope this helps. I'm going to want you to do one of these for your homework, so if you have more questions, let me know. Again, you can also use a different spreadsheet, Excel or something of the like, if that makes it easier.